terrifying scream echoes in the darkness. A brand new Indonesian horror movie from 2024, Nightmare of Death, brings a chilling story to the screen. This film mixes Southeast Asian culture with a terrifying supernatural legend, creating a horror experience that feels fresh and deeply unsettling. The dark visual style and creepy atmosphere make it a film that can truly scare people. If you love horror, it is best watched with friends because some scenes are extremely intense. The story follows a young boy named Xiao Shuai. Ever since his parents died in a terrible car accident, Xiao Shuai has been constantly haunted by terrifying nightmares. One night, while he is sleeping, he suddenly hears his mother's voice whispering in his ear again and again. Confused and scared, he gets up from his bed and walks into the living room to check what is happening. But strangely, he can hear the voice clearly, yet no one is there. At that exact moment, thunder suddenly roars outside and lightning flashes across the sky. Then something even more horrifying happens. A ghostly figure slowly appears outside the window. Xiao Shuai screams in fear, but in the next moment, he suddenly wakes up. It turns out that everything was just another nightmare. Trying to calm himself down, Xiao Shuai prepares for school and takes the bus like usual. However, during the ride, something strange happens again. He suddenly falls asleep and enters another dream. In the dream, he sees his dead parents standing nearby. They seem worried and keep repeating the same words about his uncle. Before he can understand what they mean, Xiao Shuai suddenly wakes up again. This time, he is already sitting inside his classroom at school. On that same day, a new transfer student arrives. She is a girl named Wulan. The strange thing is that even though it is their first time meeting, Wulan keeps staring directly at Xiao Shuai as if she already knows him. Later that afternoon, during the school exercise break, something terrifying happens again. Xiao Shuai suddenly sees the ghosts of his parents standing nearby. The sight almost makes him lose control of his emotions. Just when he is about to panic, Wulan quickly grabs his hand. As soon as she touches him, Xiao Shuai slowly calms down. Confused, he looks at her and asks quietly, "Can you see the same things that I see?" Wulan looks at him seriously and says, "Whatever you see, you must learn how to face it and express it." After school, while riding the bus home, Xiao Shuai keeps thinking about Wulan and wondering who she really is. Suddenly, a strange man sitting beside him leans heavily against his shoulder. Xiao Shuai tries to wake the man up, but the moment he touches the man's head, something unbelievable happens. In an instant, Xiao Shuai finds himself standing inside a hospital room. In the dark room, he sees a couple crying helplessly beside an operating table where a child is lying. Their cries fill the entire room with sadness. Then the man suddenly turns his head. Only then does Xiao Shuai realize something shocking. The man is the exact same person who was leaning against him on the bus. Later that night, Xiao Shuai becomes worried about having another nightmare. So he takes the massage oil that his grandfather gave him and rubs it on his neck, hoping it will help him sleep peacefully. But in the middle of the night, a cold and eerie wind suddenly wakes him up. When he opens his eyes, he realizes something terrifying. He is no longer in his bedroom. Instead, he is standing in a dark forest covered in thick fog. Trying to stay brave, Xiao Shuai slowly walks forward through the mist. After moving deeper into the forest, he suddenly notices a man trapped among massive tree roots that are tightly wrapped around his body. When Xiao Shuai gets closer, he is shocked. The trapped man is the same person from the bus earlier that day. Just then, an old woman suddenly appears nearby. She urgently tells Xiao Shuai that he must leave immediately. If he stays any longer, he might lose his life in this place. But before Xiao Shuai can react, a strange and haunting singing voice echoes through the forest. As soon as the trapped man hears the song, his eyes suddenly become empty, as if he is possessed. Slowly, he breaks free from the tree roots and begins walking toward a dark cave. However, the moment he reaches the entrance of the cave, a terrifying ghostly hand suddenly grabs him and drags him inside. Seeing this horrifying scene, the old woman screams loudly. Then she suddenly takes out a dagger and violently stabs her own neck. In the blink of an eye, the old woman completely disappears. Terrified beyond words, Xiao Shuai turns and runs away as fast as he can. But while running through the forest, a sharp wooden stake suddenly pierces through his body. At that exact moment, Xiao Shuai wakes up again, returning to reality. This time, when Xiao Shuai wakes up, something feels very different. Unlike the nightmares he had before, this one feels extremely real, almost as if everything actually happened in the real world. Soon, his fear turns into reality. When he walks into the living room, a news report playing on the television makes his whole body break into a cold sweat. The news says that a man has mysteriously died in his own home. What shocks Xiao Shuai the most is that the dead man is exactly the same person he saw in his dream. Determined to find out the truth, Xiao Shuai calls his friend Aoi, and the two of them go to the dead man's house to investigate. When they arrive, the man's wife is crying uncontrollably. Through her tears, she keeps saying the same thing again and again. Her husband was killed by a demon. After returning home, Xiao Shuai feels even more uneasy. He cannot understand why the events that happen in his dreams become real the very next day. In order to find more clues, he decides to take a huge risk. He plans to enter the nightmare again on purpose. Just as expected, once he falls asleep, he returns to that same foggy forest. Everything looks exactly the same. The same forest, the same cave, and the same eerie singing voice echoing through the air. Nearby, an old man who is trapped among the tree roots hears the strange song. Just like before, the old man suddenly breaks free from the roots and begins slowly walking toward the cave. Seeing this, Xiao Shuai tries to stop him, but the old man suddenly pushes him hard onto the ground. Moments later, a horrifying scream echoes from inside the cave. Then, something terrible happens. The old man's severed head is suddenly thrown out from the cave entrance. Xiao Shuai is so frightened that he immediately steps backward again and again. But right then, a dark shadow slowly appears within the dim light near the cave. A terrifying pressure fills the air. The overwhelming fear forces Xiao Shuai to run away like a madman. But while he is escaping, a pair of hands suddenly grabs him and pulls him into a corner. To his surprise, it is the strange old woman with poisonous eyes who appeared in his dream the previous night. Xiao Shuai is completely confused by what she says. However, before he can ask any questions, the old woman suddenly stabs him with a blade. In the next moment, Xiao Shuai wakes up again and returns to reality. Just like before, he immediately walks to the television. And once again, a shocking news report is playing. The news says that an old woman was brutally murdered inside her home, and her head had been cut off. This makes Xiao Shuai even more certain that his dreams are not normal dreams. When he returns to school, Xiao Shuai tells Aoi everything that happened the previous night. During their conversation, Aoi discovers something very strange. All the victims share one common connection. They all come from the same village called Bajingtu. While the two of them are still confused, Wulan suddenly walks over. She calmly tells them something surprising. She says that she has the ability to communicate with spirits. If they summon the soul of the dead, they might be able to learn the truth. So that very afternoon, Xiao Shuai, Aoi, and Wulan gather at Xiao Shuai's house to perform a spirit summoning ritual. After a short while, something incredible happens. The spirit of the dead man really appears and possesses Wulan's body. Through Wulan's mouth, the spirit reveals a terrifying secret. The demon that kills people inside the nightmare is called Suma. This demon is extremely cruel and possesses powerful dark magic. If they want to defeat it, they must quickly find a woman known as Aunt Lan. The spirit even tells them the exact address, but just when they are about to ask more questions, something unexpected happens. Suddenly, the demon Suma uses its powerful force to drive the spirit away and take control of Wulan's body. After delivering a chilling warning, Suma disappears, leaving the entire room in complete chaos. The loud noise soon attracts Xiao Shuai's grandfather. Only then do they learn another shocking truth. Their family originally also comes from the village of Bajingtu. In that village, people strongly believe in ancient gods and spirits. They even believe that they are the descendants of those gods. The next morning, Xiao Shuai finally understood why the demon Suma was targeting him. The reason was simple but shocking. The blood of the Bajingtu village was flowing inside his body. Early the next day, Xiao Shuai and his friends followed the address that the spirit had given them. They arrived at the house of a woman named Aunt Lan. When Xiao Shuai pushed the door open, he was shocked. The woman standing inside was the same one-eyed old lady he had seen in his dream. But before Xiao Shuai could ask anything, he suddenly felt extremely dizzy and fainted. When he woke up again, his friends had already brought him back home. Later, Aunt Lan told everyone the truth. Long ago, Suma was the most powerful witch in Bajingtu village. All the villagers respected her deeply. But one day, everything changed. In order to make her magic even stronger, Suma began killing villagers to gain dark power. This terrible act was secretly witnessed by a young girl at that time, Aunt Lan herself. When she revealed the truth to the village, the angry villagers captured Suma. They locked her inside a small wooden house and tied her arms and legs tightly with wooden stakes so she could not not escape. Suma's adopted son saw his mother suffering like this. He wanted to save her, but he was powerless. After several weeks, the villagers found Suma dead inside the wooden house. But everyone was still terrified of her evil power. No one dared to touch her body. Only her adopted son stayed there, kneeling beside her body and crying endlessly. But something very strange happened. Not long after that, both the boy and Suma's corpse mysteriously disappeared. Aunt Lan believed that Suma's spirit had been hiding in a dark place called the Source of Hell. From there, she kept absorbing power from people who carried the blood of Bajing too. Her goal was clear. She wanted to come back to life, and that mysterious boy who disappeared years ago was probably helping her all this time. For many years, Aunt Lan had been searching for a way to defeat Suma. Finally, she discovered something important. Xiao Shuai was the chosen person destined to destroy Suma. The method was very simple, but extremely dangerous. Inside the dream world, Xiao Shuai had to smash Suma's head with a stick. At the same time, someone in the real world had to find Suma's body and burn it completely. If both things happened together, Suma would be destroyed forever. But when Grandpa heard this plan, he immediately refused. He had already lost his son before. There was no way he would allow his only grandson to risk his life like this. However, Xiao Shuai felt a heavy responsibility on his shoulders, so he secretly went to Aunt Lan's house with his friends. Aunt Lan warned him that his current power was not enough to defeat Suma. Then she performed a special ritual to give Xiao Shuai spiritual power. But something terrible happened right after the ritual ended. Suddenly, a man appeared and cut Aunt Lan's throat. The killer was none other than Suma's adopted son, who had disappeared many years ago. When Xiao Shuai rushed back home, another tragedy had already happened. He saw his grandfather lying on the bed, completely motionless. Xiao Shuai quickly touched his grandfather's forehead and entered the dream world again. After walking through a dark forest, he saw a horrifying scene. His grandfather's soul was kneeling in front of Suma. To rescue his grandfather, Xiao Shuai started a desperate battle against the demon. For a moment, it seemed like they might escape successfully, but suddenly, Suma smiled coldly and broke free from the restraints. Then she transformed into a cloud of black smoke and rushed towards Xiao Shuai. She grabbed Xiao Shuai's neck and lifted him into the air. At that critical moment, Grandpa picked up a stick and attacked Suma from behind. This gave Xiao Shuai a chance to escape from the dream world. But sadly, Grandpa remained trapped inside the nightmare. Now, Xiao Shuai had only one choice: to destroy Suma and save his grandfather. He and his friends decided to split into two teams. Wei and Wulan would go to find Suma's body and burn it. Meanwhile, Xiao Shuai would enter the dream world again and break Suma's head with a stick. After they left, Xiao Shuai quickly entered the dream again and found Suma. But before he could attack, Suma used her power and lifted him high into the air. Xiao Shuai gathered all his strength and managed to push Suma back for a moment, but the difference in their power was too huge. Soon, Xiao Shuai was badly beaten and coughing blood. At the same time, in the real world, Wulan and Wei finally found Suma's corpse. Just when they were about to burn it, Suma's adopted son arrived with a machete. A fierce fight started. Very quickly, both Wei and Wulan were badly injured. At the most critical moment, Wei suddenly had an idea. He grabbed the man's leg tightly, giving Wulan enough time to burn Suma's corpse. As the body started burning, Suma in the dream world suddenly felt unbearable pain. Seeing this opportunity, Xiao Shuai picked up a wooden stick and smashed it hard onto Suma's head. Moments later, the evil spirit completely disappeared. Suma's adopted son was arrested by the police. Xiao Shuai not only saved his grandfather, but he also found sweet love with Wulan. As a horror movie, this film does an excellent job. From the visual style to the scary atmosphere, everything feels powerful and well made. See you in the next story.